Hey, what's up, nerds? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. It's Shane, and that's Dave.
What's going on, everybody?
Welcome back to another day of spoilers for Duskmourn. They're stretching out the spoilers, like Hunter said. They want us to have more, I guess, so not as many spoilers today. A little light, but we're going to talk about them nonetheless. If you do want to see all of the spoilers, that'll be over on our Instagram. In the description, you'll find a link to that. It's just at Guys at Magic. We're going to talk about all the rares all the rares and mythics, and then a couple of uncommons and commons. Let's get right into it. The first card we're talking about today is Abhorrent Oculus. It's 2 and a blue for a 5/5 creature Eye. It says, as an additional cost to cast this spell, exile 6 cards from your graveyard. It's got flying. Also says, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, manifest Dread. That seems pretty good.
Exiling 6 cards from your graveyard can be a pretty steep cost.
That's true.
I don't know how real this card is going to be outside of constructed formats.
That's true,
And
actually.
in constructed formats, is this good enough?
That's a great question. I completely blew past the exile 6 from your graveyard because I was thinking, where's the downside? That's the downside. Got it. Yeah, because manifesting Dread seems really good. I guess if you already have an
Like,
engine going.
this is a card too that it obviously scales really well with Commander because it cares about each opponent's upkeep. So if that's the case, then sure, this starts to do even more. I mean, I guess in that case, exiling 6 cards from your graveyard isn't necessarily the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
But still, I don't know. Is this good enough?
You know, I want to think it is, but I honestly have no idea. I think I'd play this in EDH. Standard, question you asked, not totally sure. That's a Hunter question. He plays it all the time. I don't know.
I think this is too slow
Yeah, it's weird.
for
'Cause
standard.
it's fast but slow. The mana cost is fast, but it's definitely not fast.
No, definitely not fast. It's a big old eyeball though, so that's cool.
Yeah, this is the art we've been seeing this for a while now, and it's super creepy, dude. It's an eyeball with tentacles, multiple tentacles. Ooh. All right, well, let's move on. The next card we're talking about is another Glimmer, Enduring Courage, 2 and 2 red, a 3/3 enchantment creature dog Glimmer. It says whenever another creature you control enters, it gets +2/+0 and gains haste on the turn. And then it also says whenever Enduring Courage dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. It's an enchantment. I liked all the other Glimmers, and this one's pretty good. I just like the fact that, David, you get the thing. I get the, creatures are easy to remove, but then you get it again, and it's harder to remove now. I like all these Glimmers.
Yeah, this is a cool card. Reminds me a lot of Anger, possibly not quite as many stipulations, I guess, and that I don't know. That one, the Anger needs to go to the graveyard and have a mountain. I guess in this case, I still want this to probably just die.
Yeah, that's true. Still seems good though, man. Just a good way to enable haste on your side of the board with a pump effect. I'm here for it.
Yeah, if you're playing a deck that wants an Anger style of effect, if you want to be able to give all your things haste, this is really solid.
Yeah. I want to ask Hunter this question. I feel like it might even be good enough for standard. I don't know. I have to ask him, but this feels
The
good enough.
I don't know, man. Standard is so blisteringly fast right now, and the fact that this comes in at 4 mana and sets something up for later.
I guess that's true. This would be the top end of a red deck for sure if it was a red aggressive deck, because 4 is basically end game when you're talking about standard. Yeah. I think this is a good boy. It was a dog joke, Dave. Let's move on. Next card we're talking about is Valgavoth's Onslaught. It's an XX green sorcery. Manifest Dread X times, then put X+1/+1 counters on each of those creatures. This just seems like a big, dumb, if you have tons of mana, this gets nuts. If you have tons of mana. That's a big stipulation there.
If you have tons of mana. So 3 mana to do this one time.
Yeah.
5 mana to do it twice.
Yeah. And I guess, so 3 mana for 1, you get a body. You get a 3/3 basically. It comes in as a 2/2, gets the counter. I don't know, that doesn't seem good enough. Until you have a critical mass of mana.
It is also potential card advantage too, though, because like if you're putting a creature into play, you can later flip it.
That's true. You're also filling your graveyard. I forgot about that part. Because you're
Hmm.
putting one on the battlefield and one in the graveyard. So it's definitely going to move some game plan forward. Just those XXs are scary, dude. I don't know.
It's a good thing that this is in green. I'm typically not the biggest fan of like super expensive payoff spells because this is going to be the card that obviously like you don't want to spend 3 mana on this. You want to drop like 9, and that's just like it's at that point. Was this card good? Probably not because you held on to it the entire game.
You held on to it for that perfect moment. And that
Yeah.
perfect moment never came. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like all these cards I want to like ask Hunter, would this be played? I don't feel like this would be played in standard. I could be completely off.
I don't see this one. If this were an instant and if we could get more of a control shell or mid-ranging shell going, then maybe. But with this being sorcery speed and so mana intensive, like this is gonna take your entire turn. Um, and I'm just not feeling that.
Yeah. Takes your entire turn and then you get board wiped and you sad.
Yep.
All right, moving on. We got another enchantment room. This is Charred Foyer and Warped Space. Charred Foyer is 3 and a red for the enchantment room. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile a top card of your library. You may play it this turn. And then Warped Space is 4 and 2 red. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast from exile. I don't know, Dave. How do you feel about this?
It's a cool card, and I see why this is a mythic. I mean, both sides are pretty solid. One
Yeah.
is card advantage, given that it is like the whole like use it or lose it kind of sense. And then warp space, like that has the potential to do literally nothing, but it also has the potential to just like cheat and make something free, which is one of the most powerful things you can do.
Would agree. It's those mana costs that are scaring me. It's like, yeah, I get that you could just play one or the other. Ideally, you'd probably want both. That is just, you're investing heavily into this enchantment.
There are a lot of decks out there though that like as we continue to explore this like exile until end of turn kind of thing that warp space would just want to slot into. And I know that people are going to mention like Prosper and stuff.
Oh yeah,
This card is obviously very, very good in those kinds of decks.
100% in Prosper. I can't go without saying Haldorn, because I feel like I bring it up every time a red card says play from exile. You can put it in your Valdorn deck.
Yeah. So kind of niche on that one. I like Charred Foyer. I think that one's a little bit more just like kind of open. I don't think that this card makes it for standard or most 60 card constructed. I don't think this is a limited playable card either. But I do think that this is something that should see some play in some commander decks, some niche commander decks, but it's got a home.
I would agree. You have to definitely be doing the thing. You wouldn't just like slot this in any deck. All right, well, we got another room to talk about. This next one is Private Office and Lecture Hall. Private Office is 2 and 2 white. It says whenever you unlock this room, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. And Lecture Hall is 5 and 2 blue. Other permanents you control have hexproof. I could be completely wrong on this, but from what I think, or from what I remember, this might be the only room so far that's like different colors. At least I can't remember. Pretty interesting.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like the 4 mana board wipe.
I do too, actually. It's great.
Is it good enough?
Don't know. Maybe, because I feel like, yeah, 4 mana, It's going to sit around and be an enchantment, right? So it's not like a board up that just goes away. So that's interesting. But
I mean, it is it's still a one-time effect.
true. Very true. Is there a
And
world where you want to like play the expensive part first?
I think there's a world where I probably don't play either part.
That's true.
I don't know. 7 mana for the blue portion of the card for the hall. It's cool. Other permanents you control have hexproof. It's a cute effect. You're not doing this at instant speed, correct? Yeah, no. It's
No.
only as a sorcery.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to do this reactionary. I'm probably never going to be able to do that just because like 7 mana is to the point where it's like you probably are taking your entire turn and all of your resources to be able to pull that off. And then the first portion of it, Private Office, like it's cute, but 4 mana for a board wipe, we're already kind of starting to see like in EDH at least, that's probably not good enough for Commander anymore. It's a little too slow. And then past that point too, it doesn't actually kill everything. It only kills things with power 3 or greater. So Maybe if you're in like a little weenies deck or something like that, this is
Yeah,
fine. It can find a home there.
yeah.
Um, but I
Nice
mean,
token
like
strategy.
yeah, but we already see like we've already got several of those kinds of board wipes already that you have access to in the format that like destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater and all that kinds of effects. So I'm not sure if I'm sold on either part of this card.
Yeah, I probably agree. Cool effect, cool design, but yeah, ultimately that one is mana intensive. Like I said the last room was in mana intensive. This one's super mana intensive. Moving on, the next card we're gonna talk about is Arabella, Abandoned Doll, a red and a white for a 1/3 legendary artifact creature toy. It says whenever Arabella, Abandoned Doll attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. That's actually interesting. That's actually very interesting. I get that she has to attack Dave, but that is a pretty big. That potentially is a very big board drain.
So let's think about this for just a second.
Okay.
You have to have a board in order to
Yes.
pull this off.
Yes. Very true.
Like just on attacks, I mean, she's a 1/3, but she doesn't actually hit for 1 because she's gonna do that like drain effect.
Yeah. That's true. You'll get 2. You'll gain 2. You'll do 2 damage, gain 1 life, just by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, like think about Magical Christmas Land. If you could find out a way to give her haste, let's say you already established some stupid token board, play her, gain haste, and become the enemy immediately.
So I don't want to go into commander talk for this card because we are going to do our commander grades video for that. However, I actually really do like this card whenever it comes to potentially something like standard. Her being a 1/3, I think actually is relatively impactful. I think that this does have enough toughness to be able to dodge like most of the removal. Also, that life gain aspect on this card can be very real. And I think standard does need some stuff in there to kind of slow it down.
Yeah,
If you have a couple of like 1 power or 2 power creatures, that life drain can turn on and like really start to change the tempo.
that's true actually. And yeah, I was kind of thinking of the like huge board, but yeah, even like you said, just a couple. That's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, I mean, like with how like aggressive some of the decks that I've been playing up against are, is like if you start gaining, just like say you swing with this like 2 or 3 times, like if you're gaining like 6 life, that is probably enough where you're starting to stress those decks.
Yeah, you could definitely turn the corner there. Moving on. Coordinated Clobbering. For 1 green mana, Dave, it's a sorcery. Tap 1 or 2 target untapped creatures you control. They each deal damage equal to their power to target creature and opponent controls. Sorcery, man. Always gotta be sorcery, huh?
I mean, it's a joint fight spell. So
That's true.
this is sorcery, but like now your creatures are ganging up to fight something, and like they're not actually even fighting once again. They're just dealing damage. So I think this is green is getting they're flirting around with green getting better and better removal. If this were an instant, I think it would probably be the best card of its class we'd ever seen.
Some premier, yeah, that's true. I do like the fact that it is not a rude fight spell. So whatever your creatures are doing, they're safe. Alright, so maybe I do like this. You might have talked me into it a little bit.
I mean, it's a very, very efficient rate. You really can't get much better for just a single mana on this. I think this is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's I'm I'm thinking about this too in like a sense of if your creatures have vigilance, that's cool, but the fact that you have to tap them too, so you're probably either not attacking, and you can't do this after you attacked. So it's very interesting. It's kind of like a balancing act, I think.
I mean, you play your creatures, or you just do this during main phase 1.
True. I get that. Then you can't attack.
Yeah.
It seems cool though. Not a combat trick, but we'll get the job done. All right, let's move on to another kill spell. Withering Torment. 2 and a black for an instant. It says destroy target creature or enchantment. You lose 2 life. That's pretty instant. I get that it's 3 mana, Dave, but flexibility of creature or enchantment. Are you liking this?
I do. This is another way for black to be able to deal with enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
A hunter wanted us to kind of bring this up. His thoughts on this is like, is this actually better than Feed the Swarm? What do you think on that?
I think it's better than Feed the Swarm because it's instant. Feed the Swarm, it's good. You're probably losing more life with Feed the Swarm, in my opinion, right? Because you're probably trying to kill something that's bigger than 2 mana. So I think it's a strict upgrade.
Ooh, I'm gonna disagree.
Tell me why.
I think this is probably like a lateral move for me. I'm gonna say that they're probably comparable because this one is instant, but it's also more expensive. Given that what also you mentioned, you're gonna lose probably less life off of Withering Torment. But I look at it more like I don't think I would play both in a 60 card constructed, but if I'm playing like a mono black commander deck, I'm probably running both of these cards.
I can see that. I just like things that are fast. I don't know, sorcery just feels so meh.
Oh, it definitely does. Don't get me wrong. Like I would much rather play around with instants, but because black doesn't really have a whole lot of these effects to begin with, of like being able to destroy enchantments, I think that this is a really cool card, a very neat effect, and then obviously, like what I had mentioned, I think you run both. If you're like really like, I don't know, if you're mono black, I definitely think that you run both. If you are in like black and another color like struggles with dealing with enchantments, things like maybe like playing around with Rakdos, I might still entertain the idea.
Okay. Well, that's 2 different opinions then. You don't think it's better? I think it's better. We'll see. I think you're ultimately right though. Run both. All right, and then the last card we're going to talk about today. Unable to Scream. Kind of scary looking. 1 blue mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a toy artifact creature with base power and toughness 0/2 in addition to its other types. And it also says, as long as enchanted creature is face down, it can't be turned face up. I like that ability. I like the ability. I mean, that middle ability. I guess that's the top ability because enchanted creature is not an ability. But sorry, the tough turning a creature off seems really good. And then the like added bonus of if it happens to be face down, sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this card is fine. There are ways, obviously, to deal with this, but I don't know. We've gotten several of these effects, and like it's not bad. It's not premium removal. I would rather just play something that kills.
Yeah.
But this is probably about as close to that as what we're typically gonna get in blue. The face up, face down thingy, where it locks it face down, it's relevant in this set.
Agreed.
Outside of this set specifically, I don't think that that's really ever going to do much of anything for you.
Yeah. It's a bummer that, like with other, I'm thinking of that beetle. When it's turned into the beetle, it still is like indestructible. So that card is just gone forever. So this won't deal with their commander forever, but they will they can block with it still, that's what I was trying to get at. So that whatever, if it is your commander, it dies, it comes back. But
yeah,
I like it. It is a common, so, it's not like it's unbelievably powerful.
Use a Withering Torment on it at instant speed after you block with your much bigger creature.
Yeah. There you go. I like it. All right, and I think that's gonna be it for today. Pretty short, pretty sweet, to the point. Before we move on to anything else, Dave, do you have a favorite today?
I'll go with Withering Torment. I like these kinds of effects, and black is getting more of them.
That's true. I think I like the Abandoned Doll. Terrifying, and you like it for standard, and I like it for EDH, so I'm excited to talk about it more. But what do you guys think? Leave us a comment letting us know. Do you have a favorite? We like hearing everyone's opinion. But while you're down there, into the description of this video, you'll find a link to all of our social medias. Not only the Instagram that I mentioned in the beginning. If you want to see the rares, mythics, and in comments, all of them, they'll be there. And then Twitter, TikTok, all at Guys That Magic. On the screen right now is all of our Patreon members. If you want to see what they're seeing, which is not here on YouTube, follow the link in the description and maybe you subscribe. And until, I guess, tomorrow or whenever the next spoiler video is, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Later.